Okay, Assalamualaikum and good afternoon to all of you. So hari ini kita akan masuk chapter 5. This is the last chapter throughout this course. So I believe this is week 13, kalau tak silap saya, week 13. And then this semester we have 15 weeks. So you only have about 2 weeks lah, 2 weeks for preparing your final project. Therefore, for tomorrow, I suggest there will be no lab, so I suggest for you to do your final project, do anything that related on your final project during the lab session. So if any one of you want to ask me something regarding your final project, so you can do so within the lab hours. Okay, meaning that during 11 to 1 and 2 to 4 p.m. tomorrow, if you do have any questions. Okay, so Wakil lah, okay, one of your group members, you can ask me. Maybe if you want to meet using Google Meet, so we meet using Google Meet lah. Yeah, so it's easier for me if, let's say, you have any troubles or any problems related on your coding, so it's easier for me to assist you lah. Okay, so it is based on request. Kalau ada request, nanti boleh WhatsApp saya and then kita masuk dalam Google Meet lah during lab hours. Okay, so that is for tomorrow. And then I just finished marking your quiz. Okay, and I noticed some of you, not some lah, maybe banyak juga lah, yang still I think most of you are not well understood on the inheritance and polymorphism part. So I'm planning to discuss on that particular chapter, which is inheritance and polymorphism. Maybe after this class, I will take about maybe another 30 minutes to discuss on the lab for inheritance and polymorphism. Okay, inshallah. Right. So this is a chapter on exception handling, okay, which is the last chapter. Okay, learning outcomes. You will be able to know at the end of this lesson, you will able to know what is exception and what is exception handling, and then know how to use a try-catch block, and then lastly know about check and unchecked exception. So we will go through further one by one. Okay, introduction. In most programming language, okay, there are 3 types of errors. Whether you use Java, you use C++, you use C, whatever type of programming language, normally there are 3 types of errors. The first is syntax errors. The second one is runtime errors. And the last one will be logic errors. Syntax errors arise because the rules of the language have not been followed. They are detected by the compiler. Okay, this is the most well-known errors lah. Let's say you type system.out. Instead of print line, you type as print in, okay, not l. Therefore, during the compilation, you will get error message. Okay, at Java line 6, there is an error, cannot find symbol. What does it mean? Meaning that it cannot find the symbol print in. Okay, whereas the defined method that used to display any sentence would be print line, ln, not print in. Okay, therefore it will display an error. Okay, so that is syntax error. Okay, the most common types of error lah. Okay, and then the second one will be the runtime error. The runtime error occurs while the program is running if the environment or the compiler detects an operation that is impossible to carry out. For example, okay, let's say we have a program here which asks user to enter two numbers. Okay, number 1 and then read, number 2 and then the program read, and then the program will do the division operation, A divide by B. So during the compilation, there will be no error. Okay, the programs run smoothly. Okay, there is no syntax error. However, during the runtime, meaning that during the user key in the input, let's say for number 1, the user key in number 4. Okay, and then for number 2, the user key in 0. Okay, so it doesn't meet the logic of division, whereby we cannot divide any number by 0. Let's say this one 4, right? 4 divide by 0. We can't. Okay, we cannot perform this operation. Any numbers cannot be divided by 0, which is wrong, which is false. Therefore, it will display what we call as runtime error, meaning that during the runtime, not during the compilation. Compilation is okay, all is successful. Okay, no syntax error detected. However, during the during the runtime, okay, the user key in number 0, meaning that it is false. Because of what? Because we cannot divide any number with 0. So it will display an error message. Okay, divide by 0. Okay, this one. Okay, this is the error message. And then it will show the number of line of codes, meaning at line 14. This is line 14. Okay. The error occurs at line 14, whereby the program cannot divide 4 by 0. Okay, so this is runtime error. And then the last type of error, which is logic error. Okay, it occurs when a program doesn't perform the way it was intended to. Okay, for example, using the less than operator when the greater than operator was intended. Let's say, logically, if someone's get an A, okay, the mark should be above 90, right? Above 90, above or equal to 90, and should be less than or equal to 100. Okay, this is logically. Okay. By logic, someone who gets an A should receive a score between 90 to 100. However, in your code here, you put score is less than 90 and then print line A, which is wrong, which is logically wrong. So this is what we call as logic error. Okay. So we have three types of error: syntax error, runtime error, and logic error. Okay, so what is exception? Okay, exception is a runtime error. So runtime error, okay, we can refer to it as exception. Okay, exception is runtime error. Another terms to replace runtime error, which we call it as exception. Okay, the exception is nothing related with syntax error and logic error. Okay, a program that does not provide code for catching, okay, and handling exceptions, for catching and handling runtime error, okay, will terminate abnormally and may cause serious problem. Like this one, right? So you put 4 and 0, and then it will terminate it right away. Okay, meaning that you can, if you want to continue to enter the uh, correct numbers, you need to run again. Okay, why you need to run again? Because it has been terminated. Okay. Exception occurs for various reasons. For example, user enters an invalid input, like the previous example. The program attempts to open a file that doesn't exist. The program attempt to access an out of bounds array element. Let's say you create an array size 4. Okay, and then in the system.out.println, okay, I use short form. Println, you want to print, let's say 5. Okay, which is doesn't exist. Okay, the size of array is 4, meaning that it start with 0 until 3. This is for the index. Okay, starting from index 0 until index 3. And then in the system.out.println, you want to display at index 5, which is not exist. So this one is the one of the reason whereby an exception will occur, and many more. Okay. Right. This is another example. We have a program here which asks user to enter an integer. Okay. So an exception occurs on this line. The rest of the line in the method are skipped and the program is executed. Let's say the user key in character A instead of entering an integer. So it will display an error. Okay, it will display an error, and then the program will be terminated. Until this line, okay, the program will stop. It will be terminated, whereby this statement won't be executed. Okay, so dia akan cut kat sini, sampai sini saja. Dia akan run mana yang dia sampai error tu. Okay, the rest will not be executed. Okay, normally it will display a set of information in response to the invalid input. So biasanya kita akan dapat display macam ni lah. Kita dapat set of errors, a set of information that displaying what are the errors. So this information we call it as a stack trace. Okay, namanya a stack trace. That include the name of the exception and then the method call stack. Okay, which one is the name of the exception? This one. Okay, so by looking at the name of the exception, which is input mismatch exception, so we can right away think that the error that occurs is caused by the user entering data type which is not integer. Okay, we put A, right? Whereas inside the program, we're expecting the user to put an integer number, but during the runtime, we put a character. So the name of the exception here is input mismatch. Okay, meaning that the input is mismatched with the data type that is declared in your program. Okay, it should be int. However, the user key in character. And then the method call stack. So this is the method call stack. This one. Okay, whereby it call all the classes or the methods that related to the error, right? Okay, from the last line of the stack trace, the exception was detected at line 8. Okay, take a look at the last line of the stack trace. Okay, so the main source of the error is at line 8. Okay, at line 8, and then it contains the class name and method. Okay, the class name, this is the class name, and then the method along with the file name and line number. Okay, this is the related method. Okay, whereby it will display the method inside the scanner class, because we use scanner, right? In this program, we are using scanner class, okay, to read the input from user. Okay, and then it will display at which method inside the scanner class that produce the error. Okay, so the method is next int, at line 2000, and then another next int. I think this one is the overloading method, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, the exception occurred at line 2000 in the next int. Okay, correct. And then the exception occurred at line 2040. Line 2040 in the overloaded next int. Yes, this is an overloaded next int. How we know that this is overloaded? It shares the same name. The method name is the same. Okay, however, maybe the number of parameters is different. And then the exception occurred at line 1431. Okay, this one. The name of the method is next. Okay, it located inside scanner.java. And then the last one is occurred at line 819 in the throw4 method. Okay, in the throw4 method, located inside scanner class. Okay, which is at line 819. So dia akan bersangkut paut. Okay, starting from your program, okay, until the predefined method or the predefined class that you use. In this case, the predefined class that you use is scanner. Okay, you use scanner. Why you use scanner? Because you want to read the input from the user. So inside this scanner class, there are a lot of methods. There is next int method, there is next method, there is thrown4 method. So everything will be related. Okay, which caused by a single error, which is the mismatch data type. Okay, setakat ni faham? Understood?
Boleh, Doktor.
Faham,
Alright.
Doktor.
Okay, now, just now we learned about exception, right? Now we learn how to make an exception handling. Exception is runtime errors. Okay, now we want to know how we can handle the errors. Okay, bagaimana cara kita nak handle those errors? Therefore, in a way that the program will not be terminated abruptly. Okay, dengan cara yang mana program tu tidak akan terhenti secara abnormal. Okay, so this is how it goes. We need to use a predefined statement, name, try, and catch. Okay, this is a predefined statement, try and catch. Okay, the rest will be the same. Java util, okay, scanner, boolean. Okay, kita tambah boolean di sini. We add a boolean variable. Okay, and then we put do and while. As long as continue input is true, it will keep whatever that you put inside the do statement. Okay, as long as this is true, it will keep repeating whatever that you put inside the do clause. Okay, continue input. Okay, and then try system out.print, enter an integer. This one is same, int number scanner dot next int. And then system.out.println, the number entered is a number. Okay, so if an exception occurs in this line, okay, katakan user masukkan value, character value. Okay, instead of number, user key in character A character. The rest of the line in the try block are skipped. Okay, start daripada sini. Okay, start from here until here. All of these statements will be ignored, will be skipped, and then the control is transferred to the catch block. It will move to this catch clause or catch block. Okay. So what happened is it will print out try again. Incorrect input and integer is required. Okay, why it trigger the catch the catch clause? Because we have entered a character instead of a number. So it will trigger this catch clause whereby it will display try again, incorrect input, and integer is required. Okay, so try ni is something like a listener lah. What we have learned before is it acts something like a listener. Whenever an error occur, okay, it will pass it to the catch statement. Okay, it will pass to the catch statement to display what of the error in a meaningful way. What do I mean by meaningful way is something like this. If the error is if you don't use a try catch, the error that will be displayed is in a technical form. Okay, if you are a programmer, then you definitely will know. Okay, this is what what type of error is being displayed. However, let's say the user of your program is a non-IT person. Okay, any individual that has nothing related with IT. Okay, so by having this catch, okay, and displaying the a more meaningful type of errors, okay, so it will help the user to know, okay, what type of error that occurred. Okay, let's say he or she is not an IT person. So by reading at this type of error, then he will know, okay, this is, I have made a mistake, which I key in a character, whereby an integer is required. So the error that is being displayed is more meaningful. It is more comprehensible, okay, more understandable by the user that using your program, that running your program. Okay, so that is the main purpose of exception handling. Okay, and then the program will not terminated abnormally, whereby we put do and while. Okay, whenever the user key in the correct data type, it will change the value of boolean here into false. Okay, default value of continue input is true, right, over here. Let's say the user key in the correct data type. Okay, let's say the user key in number 1, okay, which is correct data type. So this statement will be executed. This statement also will be executed. Okay, so from true here, continue input equal to true, it will become false. Okay, whenever the continue input is false, it will stop. Okay, it will not running the statement again. Okay, as long as the user key in the wrong data type, it will keep repeating, keep asking the user key in the correct data type. Okay, okay, boleh faham kan program ni? Kelas?
Boleh doktor.
Okay.
Boleh doktor.
Okay. Okay, again, why we need exception handling? Exception handling ensure that the flow of the program doesn't break, okay, doesn't break or doesn't terminate it when an exception occurs. For example, if a program has a bunch of statements and an exception occurs midway, okay, dalam pertengahan tu ada exception occurs, ada errors occurs after executing the certain statement. Then the statement after the exception will not execute and the program will terminate abruptly. So we don't want this to be happen. Okay, we don't want this to be happen. Okay, we don't want this to be happen. So that's why we use exception handling. So in Java, the statement that we use for exception handling is try and catch. By handling, we make sure that all the statement execute and the flow of the program doesn't break. So it will follow the sequence lah of the program. Okay, to follow the sequence. First, we will ask the user to enter number, and then your program will read, and then the program will display back the number that the user have entered. So it will follow the sequence. Okay, instead of terminated over here, and then close the program. And then the user needs to run it back in order to enter the correct data type. Okay, and then continue to the second and third statement over here. Okay, so that's why we use try and catch. And then another thing, we want your program to display a more meaningful error. Okay, meaning that we can derive a good information from the error that displayed. Okay, instead of displaying a more technical error, okay, which is not user friendly lah. Okay, so kat dalam ni, okay, you can type anything that reflects to the error lah. Okay, you can write your own error message, right? Okay, forgot to mention about this one. This is the instance of input mismatch exception. You need to put an instance. Okay, it's up to you to put. It's similar to object instantiation. Okay, you put any instant name that you prefer lah. Okay, but do not leave this empty. You must put an instant. Okay, although you are not using the instant inside this code, you don't use any. There is no statement that using ex, right? Ex dot something. There is none over here. Although you are not using the instant, but you need to put, okay, inside the catch statement. Okay, the try block contains the statement that might throw exception. When a statement in the try block throws an exception, the execution in the try blocks end and control pass to the catch block. Okay, ini saya dah explain. A try block consists of the keyword try followed by a block of code enclosed in curly brackets. Okay, every time you write a try block, you need to start with the curly bracket. Okay, after the try, after you type try, you need to start with the curly bracket. The catch block handles the exceptional case. So the catch block takes a parameter of type exception. Okay. Inside here, you need to put the exception class. Okay, I will show in a moment the list of classes that you need to put here. This is only one type of class. Okay, there are a lot of classes. Okay. A catch block begins with the keyword catch and is followed by a parameter in the parentheses called the exception parameter. Okay, the exception parameter is this. Okay, this is the exception parameter. And a block of code enclosed in curly brackets. So similar as try blocks, for catch block also need to have the curly brackets open and also close. At least one catch block or a finally block must immediately follow the try block. Okay, this is optional. This is optional. Okay, I will show you in the next example. Okay, we can have try, catch, and then another block which is called as finally. Yeah, I show you another example on that one. Okay, so this is the general syntax of try, catch, finally block. We start with try, and then put the statement, and then catch. Okay, we can have more than one catch, but we only have one try. Okay, we need to have only one try, but we can have more than one catch. Okay, let's say this one. Okay, we have 3 catch over here. And then this one, finally, this one is optional, whether you want to put it or not. Okay, everything that you put inside the finally statement will be executed regardless of whether there is an errors occurs inside the try statement. Okay, Kalau dalam try ni ada error, okay, regardless of whether there is error caused by statement inside the try statement, the final whatever that you write in the finally statement will always be executed. If no exception is thrown in a try block, all catch blocks associated with the try block are ignored and the program execution resume after the last catch block. Okay, let's say tak ada exception. Okay, the user enters the correct data type. This catch block will be skipped. Okay, it will be skipped. Katakan kalau ada statement after catch block, okay, that one will be executed. Okay, that one will be executed. If an exception is thrown in a try block, the remaining statement in the try blocks are ignored. Okay, ini saya dah explain. Katakan error kat sini. So the rest, okay, this one will not be executed.
Excuse me, doktor.
Yes.
Ada orang nak masuk tapi tak boleh masuk. Thank you, doktor.
Okay. Okay, the third one, if the type of the thrown exception match the parameter type in one of the catch block, the code of the catch block execute and the remaining catch block after this catch block are ignored. Okay, this one I will show you an example in a moment after this. If there is a finally block, after the last catch block, the finally block execute regardless of whether an exception occurs. Okay, whatever that whether if the inside the try statement has an error, whether the error is triggered or not, okay, the finally statement will always be executed. Whatever that you put inside the finally statement will always be executed. Okay, this is the class that you need to put inside the catch statement. Okay, inside this one. These are the list of classes. Okay, so this is the class exception. Okay. So the class that located under this exception is all of this and several more classes. Okay, there are a lot actually. So this is the base class, this is the subclass. All of this subclass inherits this class. Okay, you dah belajar inheritance, right? So all of these classes inherits this base class, which is exception. Okay, there is a runtime exception class. Okay, this is also a base class for all of these classes. Right. So inside the clash block, inside the parenthesis over here, inside here, you may need to put any of this class. Okay, any of this class according to the type of error. For example, if that error is something related to GUI, so you need to use this class. Okay, if it is something related to file, okay, for example, you want to read a file, but the file is not exist. Okay, so you need to use this one. Okay, or you try to call a class, but the class is not exist. You need to use this one. Okay, if you don't know exactly which one that you should use, you can just use this class. Okay, the base class. Okay, how do you write it? You write exception over here. Let's say you don't know which one of one of the class that referring to this type of error. Okay, the exact class will be input mismatch exception, right? But let's say you don't know, so it is okay if you put just exception ex. Okay, also can. But let's say you want to put more than one catch. That if you put only exception, then that is not the correct way lah. Okay, if you have more than one catch statement, then you need to define. Okay, you need to define the exact exception class that you need to use. Okay, if you put you don't put the different class, if you don't put the exact class, then how to differentiate between what kind of errors that you want to catch. Okay, so that's why it's according to your program. Let's say if you want to catch only one type of errors, then it's okay. You want to put only the base class, which is exception. Okay, exception classes. The exception classes can be classified into three major types. There is system errors, exception, and also runtime exception. Okay, so we focus on this one. Okay, exception class can be classified into three major types. The first one is system error, and then the exception, and then can be runtime exception. Okay, for system errors is this one. Okay, system errors is this one. System errors are thrown by Java virtual machine and represented in the error class. The error class describes internal system error. Such error rarely occur. If one does, there is a little you can do beyond notifying the user and trying to terminate the program gracefully. Okay, normally for the errors, it has something to do with the system itself. Let's say you install NetBeans, right? You install NetBeans or apa ni? Let's say you install NetBeans, but during the installation, there is an error. Let's say there is some files that is missing. Okay, there is some file that is missing, so it will throw this kind of error. Okay, which is something related to the system itself. Nothing you can do much. However, maybe you can reinstall your program, or you need to re-download the NetBeans installer. Maybe there is some file that missing during the download. Okay, so you need to figure out by yourself in terms of the system itself. Okay, meaning that it has something related on the system, meaning that nothing related to your program. So that is what we call as system errors. And then we have exception. Okay, normally we use most of the time we will use the exception. Okay, describe errors caused by your program and external circumstances. This error can caught and handled by your program. Okay. For system error, it cannot be handled by your program. You cannot do anything. Okay, it is up to yourself to track what are the errors. However, for exception, you can put something in your program to handle that errors. Okay. For example, class not found, clone not supported, something related to input-output operation. Okay, the one that I shown you before, all the example are types of this one. Yeah, types of exception. And then the last one will be runtime errors. Okay, inside exception, there is another class called runtime exception. This is only to catch any types of errors during the runtime only. Okay. Runtime exception is caused by programming errors such as bad casting, accessing an out of bounds array, and numeric errors. So all the things, all the examples that I've shown you, that one is runtime exception. Okay. Okay, check exception and uncheck exception. In runtime exception, error and their subclasses are known as unchecked exception. And unchecked exception is the one which occur at the time of execution. Okay, this is just only a term, okay, to describe a runtime expression. Okay, runtime errors. Okay, which what we call as unchecked exception, meaning that why we call it is as unchecked, because we cannot detect the errors during the compilation. We only detect the errors during the runtime. That's why we name it as an unchecked exception. So unchecked exception is mostly on the runtime exception classes. All that located inside the, all that located or that extending the runtime expression, that inherits the runtime expression, is called as unchecked unchecked exception. Okay, don't worry, this is only just a term. Okay, for example, this one, we have an array, okay, of size 4, okay, and then when we want to display, we want to display a number for index 5, which is not exist. So whenever we compile it, nothing happened. There will no error that is being displayed. However, during the runtime, then we know. Okay, during the runtime, then we know there is an error. If we just compile it, nothing happened. But we run, we click run, then the error will be displayed. Okay, that one is unchecked. However, there is another term which is check exception, meaning that the exception that occurs at the time of compilation. Okay, this is another example of an error, but we can detect the error during the compilation. For example, we want to read a file named file.txt. It is located in drive E. Okay, however, the file is not exist. Let's say the file is not exist, then right away, whenever we compile this program, it will display an error. So this is what we call as check exception. So the difference between check and unchecked exception is unchecked, it cannot be detected during compilation, whereby check, it can be detected during compilation. That is the difference. Okay. Boleh faham tak? Check dengan uncheck exception. Clear tak?
Boleh, Doktor.
Kelas? Okay.
Boleh, Doktor.
Okay, now I will show you some example, right? So let's say we have a class name main over here. And then we have an array, system.out.println, my numbers 10, which is beyond the array size. Okay, we only have 0, 1, 2. We have until index 2, but here we want to display my numbers at index 10, which is unavailable, which is not exist. So we will print out an error, something went wrong. See, this is very general, exception E. And then, okay, this one is the same. However, we put the finally statement. Therefore, okay, it will display an error. It display something went wrong. And it also will display the try catch is finished. It will always display this one. Let's say we put the correct index. Let's say my number 1. Okay, it will display 2, right? This is index 0. This is index 1. This is index 2. So we want to display my numbers at index 1, which is available. So this one will be skipped. Okay, this one will be skipped. Letakkan run kat situ. However, it also will display this one. The try catch is finished. Okay. Okay, I want to demonstrate another example. This time we are using more than one catch statement. Okay, please remember, whenever we want to use try catch, we need to import java.util. Just put star. Okay. And then let's say we have we ask the user to enter two numbers, int number two, int result. And we create an instance of scanner s new scanner system dot enter number one s dot number one s dot next int enter number two. Okay, let's say we want to perform division. Result number one divide by number two. Okay, so we put try over here. We put try over here. Why we put try between this statement? Because we want to detect in case whether the user key in some error during the runtime. Okay, so we throw a catch statement or a error message. Okay, please remember you need to define at which line that you need to put the try statement. Normally we put at the statement or at the place at the area where we expect that the user will key in some errors. Okay, in this one, okay, I expect that user will key in maybe they key in a character, okay, over here or over here, okay, or the user key in 0, whereby you cannot divide a number by 0, right? Okay, so that's why I put try between this statement. And then catch. C-A-T-C-H. Okay, I begin with the base class first. Let's say I don't know which particular class that I need to use. Okay, exception. I put E, exception E. And then I put something went wrong. Okay, enter number 1. 4, enter number 2. Aku tak keluar. Okay, the result is 2. Boleh nampak ah? Ras?
Boleh, boleh.
Boleh, Tia, boleh.
Okay, ini kalau tak ada error. Okay, so there is no error that being triggered. Why? Because I key in the correct data type lah for 2. Okay, let's say I run again and then I put, okay, let's say I put 4 and 0. Okay, so it will pass to the catch statement. Okay, the error is at this line, right? Because we cannot divide 4 by 0. Okay, so it will display something went wrong. Okay, that one is I put 0. Let's say I put 4. In this one I put A. It will also display the same error message, which is something went wrong. Why? Because I do not know the particular class that I need to use. Okay, let's say I put input mismatch exception. Input mismatch exception. Input mismatch exception, and then I put another one, catch arithmetic. Okay, I try to put this one, arithmetic exception. This one I change, you need to key in integer. Cannot divide by 0. Okay, so let's say I put A. So it will pass to this particular catch, okay, because it's related to wrong data type. So the one that handles the class that handles data types exception is input mismatch exception. So we can define a more particular uh, uh, error message. Okay, you need to key in integer value. As compared to the previous one, okay, I just put the base class over here. Yeah, I take the base class over here. Okay, then I put something went wrong, but it's not directly showing what type of error. Okay, so this is a more uh, apa ni, a more detailed one lah. Okay, you need to key in integer value, right? So let's say this time I put 4 divide by 0. Okay, then it will throw this one, catch arithmetic exception. Why? Because only this class that handles anything related by zero division. Okay, so katakan let's say I put finally. Okay, finally is optional. Okay, finally uh, okay, 4 2, the result is 2, and then it will always display whatever that you put inside the finally statement. Katakan kalau ada error juga, 4 0 fail. Okay, it will display finish. Okay, katakan let's say I put another system.out.println outside the try and catch block. Okay, outside this block, okay, I put another system.out.println. So it will display finish and also hello, regardless of there is an error or not, there is an exception error or not. Okay, understood? Boleh faham?
Boleh doktor.
Boleh doktor, boleh.
Boleh doktor.
Boleh doktor? Doktor nak tanya.
Ya.
Kalau contoh kita dah betul masukkan integer dekat number 1 dengan number 2 tu. Lepas tu cumanya kalau contoh number 1 tu 4, lepas tu number 2 tu 3. So mestilah dia punya result tu dalam bentuk floating kan? Akan display error ke tak?
Kita try dulu. 3, 4. Dia tak keluar perpuluhan je lah. Dia tak ada error.
Okay doktor.
Kena tukar double lah. Double. Semua tukar double. Sebab itu by default dia tak consider as error pun.
Okay doktor.
Okay. Right. Okay, baru keluar. Okay, ada lagi soalan nak tanya? Tak ada Okay, yang ni saya tak pasti kenapa dia tak keluar. Okay, sekarang saya nak bincang. Okay, untuk lab besok tak ada Lab ni kira saya ganti hari ni, tapi untuk kita bincang soalan lab 7. Okay, lab 7 yang lepas. Sebab saya tengok, saya rasa ramai yang masih tak clear lagi untuk apa ni, inheritance dengan polymorphism. Jadi kita bincang jawapannya sama-sama. Okay, untuk exercise 7.1, create a Java program name vehicle.java with the following code. Okay. And then create a Java program within the same package name car.java that extend vehicle. And then it has its own private member variables, model name with its mutator and accessor. Lastly, assign and display brand name and model name in the main function. You may assign any value of brand name and model name. Okay, jawapannya ini. Lab 7. Okay, ini ialah kelas yang kita dah create. Ini ialah base class Base class ialah kelas yang ke atas sekali, parent class. Okay, macam ni parent class. Okay, what we call, ada banyak nama, ada korang panggil base class, ada parent class. Tapi base class ni ialah dia kelas yang paling atas sekali. Dia punya hierarchy tu is on the top lah. Okay. Okay, and then inside this vehicle we have private string brand name. Okay, this one we apply the polymorphism punya concept, whereby we use private for every member variables. We use private. Okay, private string brand name. Ini bukan function Kalau macam ni baru ada function. Kalau kita ada bracket, okay, ini baru function. Okay, ada setengah yang confused. Bila ada string ni, dia jadi confused. So sebenarnya ini ialah member variables, private member variables, private string brand name. And then we have mutators to set the brand name. Okay, brand name go to be get brand, return brand name. Okay, ini pun ramai yang masih tak clear. In fact, ini benda yang kita tak cover benda ni kat Java, tapi awak dah belajar sebenarnya dalam C. Okay. During your first year, you already learned this one. Across all the programming language, all share the same concept. Okay, apa konsep dia? Katakan dia start with data type. Okay, nama, okay, kita buang public ni lah. Kita buang public ni. Dia start with data type, string, get brand. The name of the method or the function is get brand. Okay, and then it has a returning data type. Bila ada returning data type, whenever we have a returning data type, we need to put the return keyword. Return what? Return brand name. Ini wajib. Semua programming language semua sama. Kalau you tak letak return, nanti dia akan ada error. Okay, usually dia akan ada error. Okay, dah keluar error dah. The method must return. Add return statement. Okay. So katakan kalau you tak nak guna, you tak nak return any data type, boleh, tak ada masalah. You guna void. Void get brand. Okay, bila dah void get brand, kita tak boleh pula letak return. Ni terbalik saya tengok. Soalan test. Test ramai yang terbalik. Void ni dia letak return. Okay. Sebenarnya kat sini kalau kita nak display, kita nak displaykan brand name ni, tapi kita tak guna return value kan. Kita type system.out.println. So kita nak display apa? Brand name kan? Okay, brand name. So this is the correct method lah on how that differentiate between a method with returning value. This is a method with returning value, and then a method which has no returning value. Okay, tolong ingat ni Kalau you tak returning value, kita guna void. Kalau it has returning value, so it's up to you to decide what type of data type that certain variable is. In this example, the data type is string. The data type of the variable is in string. So we put string as the returning value je. Okay, string get brand. Setakat ni clear yang untuk ni returning dengan non-returning method. Boleh faham?
Boleh doktor.
Boleh.
Okay, sekarang kita dah ada jenis base class. We have defined the base class. Now we create the inheritance class. So we use the statement extends. Okay, extends with s, ada s, public class car extends vehicle. So when we put extends, meaning that this car, okay, this car class, okay, it inherits. It will obtain some of the methods or variables inside vehicle. Not all, okay, not all, but some. Why I say so? Because okay, now we have private, right? Anything that is private from the base class is not being inherited. It's not being copied, it's not being obtained. It only copy, it only obtain variables or method only if it is declared as public. Apa sahaja yang di-declare as public, itulah yang akan di-inherit. Ini soalan dalam test. Dalam test. Kalau private ni dia tak inherit pun. Dia tak ambil. Jadi macam mana kita nak access ni? Kita nak access dan kita nak set value ni by intermediate, which is the set brand. Okay, kita gunakan satu medium which is a public method sebagai perantara untuk kita setkan brand name ni. Okay, void public void set brand. Only these two elements that are being inherited by class car. Okay, why? Because it is defined as public. Other than that, it won't be inherited. Okay, that one is for car private string model name. Okay, dia suruh kita apa tadi? Assign and display brand name and model name in the function. Okay, assign and display. Assign meaning that we assign it using mutator, and then display meaning that we display it using assessor. Okay. Assessor dengan mutator tu hanyalah term saja. Itu hanyalah term. Sebenarnya ialah method function. Okay. Okay, dalam ni because we have model name, right? Its own variable for car. So we need to have a mutator to set the model name and then an assessor to get back the value of model name. Okay, and then you may assign any value. Okay, assign any value. So you need to assign inside the main method. Car C1 new car. You can name any instance that you want, that you prefer. In this example, I put car C1 new car, and then C1 dot set brand to assign the brand name. The brand name is over here, right? Okay, the brand name is ini inside the vehicle. C1 dot set brand Proton, C1 dot set model Saga. Model is inside the car class. Then system.out.println, my dad's car is Proton and then Saga. Okay, my dad's car is Proton Saga. Okay, let's say katakan kat sini lah. Katakan kat sini declare it as public. Okay, meaning that the brand name is being inherited by car, which means it can be directly accessible. Okay, kalau dia directly accessible, kau tak perlu pun guna set brand ni. Set brand ni ialah perantara untuk kita set brand name ni. Tapi disebabkan kita dah declare it as a public, we can write it as C1 dot, nanti dia keluar kat sini. Okay, brand name. C1 brand name equal to open. Okay, tak ada keluar error. Okay, this is only if you declare it as a public. But this one doesn't apply the concept of polymorphism. Okay, polymorphism ni kita nak hide the member variables of a certain class. Kita tak nak the programmers manipulate. Okay, kita kira dalam bahasa mudahnya ni kira jalan belakang lah, pintu belakang dia buat macam ni. Okay, kita nak je lalu pintu depan. Pintu depannya set brand ni. Ini dah kira kita macam kita hack dari belakang, pintu belakang. C1.brandName, kita boleh override it. Although we have set it on the C1.setBrand. Okay. So kita tak nak berlaku macam ni. Okay, sebab itu kita hidekan. Okay, sebab itu apa juga kelas predefined class yang awak guna, contoh tadi apa tadi, exception handling ni, scanner ni kan. Okay, kita tak tahu pun dalam tu ada variable apa. Okay, and then kita tak perlu tahu pun. Okay, kita tak perlu tahu. Dia dicipta, scanner class ni dicipta hanya kita guna saja. Okay, kita tak perlu tahu pun nak scanner dot kita katakan kita dah the instant lah, kita tak perlu pun nak tahu s dot something pun kita tak perlu tahu. Yang ada semua kat sini ada hanyalah function saja kalau awak tengok. Semua ialah function, method. Tak ada pun variable. Macam ni kita tahu semua function, nampak tu ada parenthesis, ada brackets. Itu semua function. Jadi kalau kita nak tahu lebih lanjut dalam scanner tu ada variable apa, mungkin kita kena pergilah. Kita kena pergi open declaration. Ini scanner.class yang dah di-type oleh programmer. Tak tahulah siapa kan, tapi kita download je, Eclipse ni dah ada kan. Jadi ini ialah semua member variable je. Kalau kita tengok semua je declare as private. Okay, dia tak nak complicatekan programmers untuk kita berfikir mana variable yang kita perlu setkan. Adakah position, adakah adakah hash next position. So we don't need to deal with all the member variables. That's why that is the main concept of polymorphism. Kita nak hide kan. Okay. All that the programmer needs to do is just use the function, and then you will produce the desired result lah. Okay, without having to know what is the exactly of the member variables inside the particular class. Kalau tak, you kena define satu-satu. Untuk position you nak letak apa, untuk hashnet result you nak letak apa. Ni kita guna function saja. Okay, and then dia akan aturkan yang selebihnya. Sekarang boleh faham tak kenapa kita kena private tekan? You get the idea, right? Class?
Faham doktor.
Ya, doktor.
Ni scanner.class ni memang dah ada dia nama .class, meaning that this one has been compiled lah. Okay. Any Java program that has been compiled without any error, it will produce the .class. Okay. Ni banyak lagi ni. Banyak member variable, semua dia declare as private. So later on, let's say you become a Java programmer, then you must to implement the polymorphism concept. Apa juga variables, you need to declare it as private. So, bila kita dah private kat sini, kalau kita c1.brand name, tak boleh. Ada error. Kita tak boleh directly access the variable. Okay. Okay, habis soalan 1. Soalan 2. Okay, create a Java program that implements inheritance based on the UML class diagram. Okay. Ni saya dah terangkan. Ini saya rasa ramai tak ada masalah. InsyaAllah. So mana yang when we have the negative sign over here, meaning that is private member variable. Normally we will split into, the first row is for all member variables, and then the second row is for all the methods, or for all accessors, mutators, or any related functions lah. So the plus sign indicate that this mutator is public. This one is accessor. This accessor also public. A string over here, meaning that this set author mutator receive one parameter. Okay, receive one parameter which is a string. Okay, the name of that parameter is A. Okay, and then the type of that mutator is void. Meaning that there is no return data type. We use void. Okay, for the accessor, it has a returning data type, whereby the data type is string. So we write it as string get author. Inside brackets, nothing. Okay. And then there are two classes that inherits document. The first one is book and then email. So book, class book extend document, and then another one, class email extend document. Ini question 2. Document. Okay, document, and then we have book. Okay, book extend document. Dalam book ada apa tadi? Ada title, ada set title, get title. kita ada title, and then we have set title, and then get title. Okay, that one is for book, and then we have email. Okay, follow je lah. Okay, subject to, and then the mutators and accessors. Kita ada subject, kita ada to, and then all the mutators and accessors. Then lastly, we need to write a main function. We write inside another class named main. Okay, and then we set the value for each book and email. For book, we set authors and it by turn. Set authors and it by turn, and then set title, the famous 5. That one is for book, and then we create instance for email. Email E1, new email. Email dot set subject, order detail, bulat buku, Juliana. And then just print out. Okay, very simple. Okay, kat sini ada apa-apa nak tanya? Boleh faham tak?
Boleh doktor.
Alright. Okay, soalan last. Create class guitar and drum that inherits class instrument as below. Perform method overloading. Method overloading and overriding ni saya rasa ada ramai lagi yang tak berapa nak faham. And method overriding for both classes, you may use your own creativity to define the content of each method. Lastly, create a Java program named main Java with its main function containing the instance of guitar and drum, the value assignment, and also the corresponding output. Okay, so we have a base class named instrument. And then inside this instrument, we have a variable, private variable named brand. And then we have mutators and accessors, set info. Okay, and then get brand. This one should be set brand lah. Okay, set brand. Itu apa sini? Set info, tak apalah. Okay, brand B, get brand, return brand. And then we have a function. Okay, ni function biasa. Another function for another function selain daripada apa ni, set brand dengan get brand, ini set brand lah. System.out.println if every instrument produce a sound. So what you need to do is to create an overloading. Perform method overloading of set info, and then method overloading of get sound. Okay, so set overloading of set info. Tak apa, kita tukar balik set info. Banyak nanti. Okay. Selalunya, okay, untuk private, method overloading. Method overloading. Okay. First thing, the name should be the same. Okay, the name should be the same. However, it can have different different parameters. Okay. For example, this one string B, right? We can have intb, for example, or we can have more than one parameters. Let's say intb, and then we put intc. Okay. Let's jump into the answer lah. Guitar, right? Okay, set info. So kat sini saya buat set info. I put another one parameter, string B. Okay, this one is string B. Okay, I put another parameters. This is method overloading method. It overloads. Okay, overload maknanya tambah lagi. Okay, overloads. Dia tak semestinya tambah, dia boleh juga berlainan data type, boleh jadi intb. Okay. Tapi the one thing that you need to make sure is it should be the same name lah, set info, and then overloading method. This one set info B. Okay, set info B. This one, okay, because this one in okay, set info, because this one is inherit the instrument, right? It's inherit instrument, so we have the access of this one. Okay, set info B. So kat sini saya panggil lagi set info, bukan set info ini. Okay, tapi set info inside instrument. Okay. Set info instrument kita hanya ada satu parameter saja. Okay, this is based on your creativity lah. You boleh tulis saja apa-apa kat sini. And then number of string equal to n. Okay, number of string based on ni lah. Okay, this one is overloading method. And then this one is overriding. The overriding, it should have the exact name. Okay, first one should have exact name and also the exact parameters. Kalau kat sini tak ada parameters, okay, get sound kan. Get sound ni tak ada parameters. Dekat sini pun get sound must have no parameters. And then the data type also the same. If it is using void, okay, this one is using void, right? This one also must also using void. Kalau overloading, okay, overloading, kita boleh tukar kat sini. Di sini public void kan. Kita boleh tukar kat sini public int, for example. Okay, public int, tak ada masalah, boleh. Okay. Tapi kita kena guna return lah kat sini. Dah guna int, maknanya this one is not valid lah. So you need to change. Okay. So saya nak tunjukkan kat sini kita boleh. Okay, public void set info. Okay. Okay. Yang berbeza untuk overriding hanyalah apa saja yang you tulis kat dalam ni. The content of the method itself. Okay, get brand kat sini. Okay, get brand guitar sound grand and it has number of string. Okay, number of string, this one. Okay. Why we can access the number of string whereas it declared as private? Okay, because as long as it is in the same class, we can access whatever private member variables. Okay. Get sound ni di dalam kelas yang sama, di dalam kelas gitar. So dia boleh access private ni. Yang tak boleh access yang kat luar saja. Luar daripada kelas gitar ni, itu tak boleh access. Okay. Unless dia declare as public lah kat sini, baru boleh access. As long as it is within the same class, okay, the method is within the same class, we can access any private variable. Okay, that one is for guitar, and then for drum, number of snare, set info. Okay, kat sini pun this one is method overloading method. Okay, number of snare equal to S. And then get sound. Kat sini, ini ialah overriding. Yang berbeza hanya kat dalam ni, drum sounds duk-duk-cak. And it has number of snare. And then create the main function guitar G1 for the instant, drum D1, and then G1.setInfo Ibanez 6 referring to number of string, okay, INTN. number of string equal to n. You get set info Ibanez 6 g1.get sound. This two is for guitar, and then D1 is for drum. D1 set info 2. What is 2? Number of snare. Okay, number of snare equal to 2, and then the brand name is Tama. String B. Okay, set info B. Set info ada dekat instrument. Okay, set info B. B is for brand. 2 Tama, and then D1 get sound. Okay, dah 3:48. Okay, boleh faham tak? Kelas, okay ke?
Boleh
Okay,
doktor.
Doktor. Okay.
Saya rasa mungkin ada juga yang terceceh ni, walaupun mungkin ada faham, tapi saya rasa ada juga yang terceceh. Tapi apa yang saya nak buat, awak cubalah apa juga metod yang sesuai dengan awak untuk awak faham. Okay? Dan untuk final memang akan ada lagi, awak akan jumpa lagi untuk apa inheritance ni. Inheritance class instantiation ni semua awak akan jumpa lagi. Okay, so my advice is you need to practice more. Okay, programming is similar to mathematics. It's like mathematics. You cannot just read. You need to do exercises. Okay, awak kena hands on. Baru awak apa dapat get the flow lah. Okay, macam mana nak buat. Okay, kalau tak ada apa-apa, saya habiskan kat sini saja. Esok kita tak ada lab, okay. Saya nak awak concentrate, fokus pada final project. Kalau ada apa-apa nak tanya, you boleh request. So besok kita jumpa kat Google Meet lah, based on request kalau ada apa-apa. So tunjukkan apa yang awak dah buat setakat tu, dan saya boleh tengok. Mungkin saya boleh komen, ataupun kalau ada apa-apa yang saya boleh troubleshoot, kita sama-sama lah, sama-sama. Okay, okay, kalau tak ada apa-apa, kita habis setakat ni. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum. Kita jumpa lagi, InsyaAllah. Terima kasih semua.
Terima kasih, Doktor.
Terima kasih
Thank you,
doktor.
Doktor.
Apa yang belum record attendance, tolong tulis nama dekat chat section.
Okey, baik,
Okay,
Doktor.
Doktor.
Thank
Thanks, Doktor.
Thank you doktor.
Terima kasih, Doktor.
Yeah, excuse me, doctor.
Yes.
I still haven't taken attendance. I just write on the chat, yeah.
Alright.
Okay, thank you, doctor.
Thank you.